morning. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Welcome to Pathways to Success, where we turn the spotlight on the heroes of the Philippine economy, our micro, small, and medium enterprises. We follow their inspiring journey and give great insight on what it takes to scale up their business. In today's world where kids juggle homework, social media, and endless distractions, it's no wonder they sometimes feel overwhelmed. With screens constantly vying for their attention, how do we help our children cultivate resilience and emotional intelligence? This need gave birth to a business promoting mindfulness and yoga, powerful tools that can turn chaos into calm and help kids navigate their feelings. Today we have Krissia Teddy, the brains behind Batang Bathala, who's not just teaching kids to breathe, but to thrive. Teddy, welcome to Pathways to Success.
Hello, thank you for having me, Miss Mai. It's so nice to be here.
It's good to have you here. Now, to start things off, I'm curious about your journey. Tell us what inspired you to focus on mindfulness and yoga for kids.
Well, throughout my teaching experience, I've been working closely with children of all abilities, especially children who are neurodivergent. And ever since then, my connection with children have been very deep because of how much potential, not just all kids, but especially all these neurodivergent learners. And sometimes as a teacher, it's heartbreaking when you see these children have internal struggles, especially academically, socially, and emotionally. And as much as we want to help them thrive academically, we can only do so much socio-emotionally. And then from then on, I started connecting back to my life as a kid and how it was so difficult thriving in this world socio-emotionally. And then I started practicing mindfulness for myself, and then yoga, and then I realized, oh wait, I can actually use this and help support our kids through mindfulness and yoga. And I can really see the effect, not just for myself, but also for our kids. It's actually like healing my inner child every time I teach our kids.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned neurodivergent children, but it's not just them who needs help adjusting and interacting socially, right? Even, even adults need help. So what more the kids, and kids also face, endless pressure at such a young age. So how important is mindfulness for kids and in building resilience and self-awareness in them?
Yes, so mindfulness is important, not just for kids, but actually for everybody. Mindfulness allows us to stay present, not just physically, but stay present within our bodies, how our bodies feel, and how the quality of our minds actually affect not just our thinking, but actually how we feel. And that's when mindfulness comes into play, because you notice your body, you notice the quality of thoughts you have in your mind, and then you start to later on notice how these thoughts actually affect us emotionally. And from then on, the mindfulness helps us create ways to actually regulate not just the body, but regulate our emotions. Especially kids, they're having a hard time emotionally regulating themselves. We have anxious kids, let's say around 3 years old, and when they enter daycare, right, you can see they're already building that anxiety away from their parents. And from daycare, they go on to being they go to school, and they start feeling anxious with these sets of new kids. And then when they go on to high school, the level of difficulty with all the requirements and then exams. And from then on, you can really feel the struggle.
Yes.
not just academically, but socio-emotionally.
You know, we see anxiousness in kids, and most parents observe it's because of how much screen time they get, right? So screens and constant stimulation have become a big part of our kids' lives. What impact does this have on their emotional well-being? Explain that to us.
Yes, so too much screen time, of course, is really not beneficial to kids, but it's the role of the parents and educators to regulate screen time. But personally, I believe that kids starting at 3 to 5 years old, I believe that they should not be exposed to screens, phones, televisions, iPads, because this takes away a lot of awareness, not just with their bodies, but awareness with their environment. Since they're focused too much on the screen, they don't really have time to connect with themselves, with their environment, with their friends, and with their families. But I can see the positive effects that screen actually helps as we get older. Screen time is actually beneficial for kids that, especially with ADHD, this has been a tool in school. Having iPads around is used as a learning tool. So I think we just need to change the idea and the concept of screens and iPads and use it as a learning tool instead of using it to regulate their emotions, because I know some parents, as much as they want to, they use iPads to keep their kids calm when they're crying or when they're bored. Here's an iPad. I personally believe that iPads and phones are not supposed to be used as a tool to regulate emotions. It's used to it's used as a learning tool. So it's a
I think you should also control how much screen time your kids get. Right. So we want our kids to have a strong emotional foundation. So how now do you encourage and cultivate mindfulness in children?
We encourage mindfulness through children by starting with themselves. Connect with yourselves and connect with the importance of just being present. I am here. I am who I am. This is who I am. And from then on, we build connection with their bodies. And from then, we connect with their friends and their families. And this is actually a community of people who are willing to be there for their children.
So Teddy, give us examples. What daily mindfulness practices can kids do? And what's the goal of each exercise?
Yes, so let's say every morning, as soon as your kid wakes up, we can do grounding, so mindfulness breathing. So start with maybe putting their hands on their chest, their other hand on their belly, and then we can do as simple as 3 breath works, breathing in through your nose and out your mouth, and just repeat this 3 times. And you can see that their body is calmer, they're more focused. And that's one way of doing a mindfulness breathing technique. Another is through yoga. We do sun salutation or sun dance. You can do this every morning. It's just a practice wherein the kids will focus on their bodies, waking up their bodies, stretching, and just grounding and be there. Be present with their body. And just continue with the breath work that I was teaching earlier.
It's nice, like encourage movement and breathing exercises, like you mentioned. But how early can they start? At what age is recommended?
Yes, mindfulness is also just like play. We can be intimidated with the word mindfulness and yoga, but it's actually just connecting with your breath, connecting with your body, and integrating it with play. I think as young as 3 to 4 years old, we can actually introduce this to kids already.
Great. So we have more to discuss on the journey to supporting our kids. Coming up next, mind, body, spirit, wellness beyond academics. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pathways to Success. We are still with Krissia Teddy of Batang Bathala discussing the importance of yoga in developing mindfulness in children. So, Teddy, your clientele in Batang Bathala, what are the usual reasons why they enroll their kids in your class?
Usually, they ask about having our kids to focus and stay still. Usually, parents have a difficult time just asking their kids to stay still, sit down for a minute, and actually listen. Another concern is being in school, being present, because usually kids, especially our teenagers, they have high anxiety with all the requirements and all the exams that they can't keep up. And that's been our goal and our mission to actually help these kids thrive, not just academically, but socio-emotionally.
Yes, and it's important that we teach them how to listen to their bodies at a young age, right? Now we have another guest joining us via Zoom, an educator with over 22 years of experience. She's also a homeschooling parent and advocate of mindfulness. Meg Murph Trinidad. Hi, Meg. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mai. Good morning. Hi, Teddy. Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Meg. So you have
You're
over
welcome.
2 decades of experience as an
Yes,
educator.
I've been
Yes.
teaching for a long time.
Please share with us any recent studies showing that our kids need to do mindfulness activities. Does yoga help, and what is research showing us?
Okay, first I will share with you a research done by the Ateneo de Manila that addresses particularly the ones about the screens, because I think this is a salient issue. So during the lockdown, in fact, Dr. Angel Bell conducted the research, and the title of that research is Measuring Effects of Screen Time on the Development of Children in the Philippines, a cross-sectional study. And in that study, okay, they really correlated what when children are exposed to devices at a very young age, it can really impact their receptive and expressive language. So that means the way that they're receiving information, for example, from their parents, it gets affected, and also how they are expressing it back to their parents. And I am living proof of this because I gave birth during the pandemic. So I have a 4-year-old. And we really had to consult with a developmental pediatrician because there really were delays in his speech. The good news is the developmental pediatrician and my own research, right, as mom and as teacher, shows us that there are things we can do. Just to clarify, I am not against devices, but like with Teddy, I am in favor of the balance, right?
Yeah.
We want our children to grow up with balance. Like even in our own homeschooling, our kids, especially my teens, they use devices a lot. But we have to be very, very deliberate about the other things that we do to supplement our children's exposure to online activities.
Yes.
So, as an example, my boys play outside a lot in the afternoons. My daughter takes her ballet, so she goes once a week for face-to-face classes, and then she does her own nighttime routine here at home. And then my daughter also has her theater activities and her other clubs. But personally, and this is why I could connect with what Teddy was saying a while ago, I believe if we are to put any intervention or any strategy in place, it has to begin with us adults. So my kids know that I start in the morning, quiet time. I do my mindfulness meditation. So there's this short, very calming 10-minute video I follow to guide me with my breathing.
Yes. So
And then,
yeah, Meg, let me interrupt you first. So it all
Yeah.
starts with the parents also, right? You have to be an
Yes.
example to your kids because
Yes.
too much screen time, as studies show, result to diminished personal skills in our children. And
Yes.
tell us, Meg, you're homeschooling all your 5 children. What
Yes, this year all 5
mindfulness
kids are
techniques have you found most effective in helping your kids develop, emotional balance and resilience?
Well, I've already talked to my children about their own journaling. So my two girls, they're teenagers, they're 16 and 14. They write their own stories. And my daughter, one of my daughters has gotten to like really having her own mini planner also. She has her own mini planner where she does her study plan for the day. So that's a mindfulness technique. With my other kids, we really sit down, we regroup every morning and we say, what are we going to do today? And we write it down, we itemize it. And then as we get it done, we check it off. So that's a very, very complete mindfulness activity that we do.
Yes, that's a
And
nice
then,
tip that you gave us. For
yeah,
busy families looking to incorporate
yes,
mindfulness into their daily
yeah,
activities. For example, they cannot
yes,
do these things in the morning because they're too
yes, yes,
busy
yes,
preparing to go to work and
yes,
to go to school.
yes.
What practical activities aside from yoga do you recommend?
Aside from yoga, I would echo what Teddy said. Just waking up in the morning, but before checking your phone or rushing to wake up the children, or even the children getting up themselves, if we're the ones waking them up, it's really to model that breathing. Those three breaths in the morning, the inhale, exhale, will do so much already, right? Instead of just waking them up and then rush, let's go, traffic, ganyan, to change the dialogue in the morning, to wake up the kids and say, why don't we take our breaths together?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Sometimes when I do yoga here at home, the kids watch. I mean, even if they're not doing it with me, because we have limited space, right? There's only one space right now for one yoga mat.
Yeah. Meg, before
But
we let you
when they
go,
watch the video, yeah.
yes, before we let you go, can you
Mhm.
share one more tip aside from, the breathing exercises
Yeah.
and also journaling that can help our
Yeah.
kids connect with
Yeah.
their emotional self and listen to
Mhm.
their bodies? What else can
Yes.
they do? Something that they can start today.
You know what? One very, very practical mindfulness tip, and this is a result of the study that I also talked about, is when the kids are on the device, to watch it together and to respond to whatever it is they're watching. So it's not just I'm going to give you a device, you watch it, but hey, what are you interested in? Can we talk about it?
Oh, okay.
Right? So even with my 4-year-old, when he tells me, Mama, fire truck, I echo it back to him. Yes, fire truck, police car. I get into the interest of my child, whether it's something that he's playing with live, like his toys, or that he's watching on a video.
Yes.
The one practical tip from that Ateneo study is really to get into that activity with your child.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
then you can model the mindfulness.
So it's finding things to do with your children. Thank
And
you.
commenting on it, like because that models mindfulness. And like what Teddy said, it's really modeling to them, how am I going to be in that activity in that present moment?
Thank you,
So
Meg.
that small tip alone would be wonderful already.
Thanks, Meg, for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mai. Nice meeting you, Teddy.
And we have to take another quick break. Don't go anywhere. Pathways to Success. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now for some good news. HSBC Philippines is optimistic about the country's potential to transition from ASEAN's rising star to, quote, Asia's superstar. The bank expects the economy to grow by 6.4% next year and accelerate further to 6.7% in 2026. That would make the Philippines the fastest growing economy in the ASEAN region. HSBC says key factors driving this growth include the country's young and growing workforce, strong inflows from Filipinos overseas, and continued policy reforms and infrastructure investments. To further unlock the Philippines' economic potential, HSBC Philippines President Sandeep Upal underscores the need to address infrastructure challenges and effectively implement trade liberalization measures. Now back to our guest, we are still with Krissia Teddy of Batang Bathala discussing how to cultivate mindfulness in our children. Now Teddy, let's talk about raising balanced kids beyond academics. So how can mindfulness and movement help support emotional and physical balance in children as they grow?
Okay, so the balance is just making sure you have time with yourself, time connecting with your body and your breath. Okay, so time is a factor. The second is time to release. So what are ways to release not just stress, but physical tension in your body? It could be stretching, it can be moving, shaking your body. Yoga is one thing, but we also have all these sports and exercises that we can do. We have basketball, we have volleyball, all of these things. And if it's not sports, it could also be mindful art. So like we said earlier, journaling, drawing, or just as simple as playing with paint, especially with younger kids.
Yes.
These are ways to release not just tension and stress in the body and the mind, it actually cultivates creativity and imagination.
Yes, and also looking back to how we were raised, right? We were surrounded by arts and crafts, you know, and I think that is one thing that's missing to most kids these days now. So looking to the future, Teddy, do you see more businesses offering mindfulness practices and activities for both children and adults?
Yes, I can see that we have a lot of schools, early childhood education, all the way up to the universities where we focus and center in social-emotional learning. And I've been feeling really proud that a lot of educators, families even, and communities were all supporting this idea of a balanced socio-emotional community and connecting it with our core Filipino traits such as kapwa and our sarili, and the importance of arts and crafts, like you said earlier. And these are what centers us as Filipinos. You know, we love arts, we love to express ourselves, not just creatively, but towards each other through kapwa and the sense of community and support.
Thank you, Teddy, for joining us today. We learned so much from you. And thank you for joining us today on Pathways to Success. We have learned that helping kids thrive isn't just about hitting the books, it's also about embracing mindfulness and movement. I'm Mai Rodriguez. We'll be back tomorrow. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.